In Tales from the Loop, there's one undeniable fact. Your player characters can't die. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't apply to anyone else in the world of the loop, but for you and your friends, this means there must be other ways to show tension while trying to weave your way in and out of trouble. That being said, let's hop right in and go over the fundamentals of conflict in Tales from the Loop. Right off the bat, let's talk about the thing that makes Tales from the Loop stand out from your standard TTRPG. In this game, you don't have traditional TTRPG combat, roll initiative, or even take turns to fight off baddies. Instead, you're greeted with a unique experience where everything you'll come up against, more often than not, can be handled with a single roll. On top of that, the players are the only ones in this game that'll be rolling any dice whatsoever. So what does that mean for making rolls or conflict resolution? Well, in Tales from the Loop, you're going to be presented with situations or scenes that will provide you and your friends with some sort of trouble. And making rolls against your character's skills in the game is often referred to as overcoming that trouble. NPCs don't have stat blocks, but instead go with a more in-depth background description approach, rich with descriptors that the GM will need in order to roleplay that character or creature to a T. Some NPCs can either help or hinder your team, and that's handled in two ways. A helpful NPC would simply join your kids in an attempt to overcome a certain bit of trouble. The GM will determine their level of usefulness to the situation and give them a value between 1 and 3, 1 being somewhat useful and 3 representing an NPC that's an expert or crucial to the success of the scene. These values simply translate to the amount of additional dice that'll be added to the kid's roll that is attempting to overcome that specific bit of trouble. Some harmful NPCs that the kids in the game run into may be a bit harder to handle than others. In that case, the NPC blocks have a special section called Special Attributes. These special attributes pertain to a certain aspect of that NPC. Perhaps a guard dog that's chasing you down has a special attribute called 4 legs are faster than 2, with a value of 2. The trouble for this scene might be trying to escape this dog and make it to the house before it catches you. The 2 value here represents the amount of successes that it'll take your kid in order to overcome this trouble. Meaning if they roll 1 success, they fail that attempt. But if they roll 2, they'll succeed and escape the dog unharmed. Now, these special attributes can only go up to 3, and not every NPC will have them. But what happens if you fail that roll and the dog catches up to you? You automatically take a condition as it bites you, right? Well, not necessarily. Even though the GM doesn't have to make a roll against you to attack, you still have some sort of ways to try and avoid conditions. Depending on your situation, you'll make a roll to otherwise counter trouble. If an NPC goes in for a physical attack, you can attempt a move roll to dodge out of the way. Or if an NPC was attempting to lie, gaslight, or even seduce you, you could roll charm in an attempt to talk your way through it. Maybe there's a situation where you need to rely on your wits to understand something in time to avoid it. You'll roll comprehend. And lastly, let's say you're about to walk into an ambush. Well, you'll roll investigate in an attempt to see the trouble before it even happens. Creatures and NPCs are not the only thing you'll need to watch out for in Tales. Sometimes the other kids in the group will pose a challenge to one another. In this case, you'll both say what you want to do and roll your dice at the same time. The one with the most successes wins and determines how the scene plays out. Things can get a bit competitive here as you can both push your rolls to win this bit of trouble. If you still get an equal amount of successes even after pushing, you can go even as far as taking levels of conditions and trading them out for successes. And for those mega competitive folks, you can even take the broken condition by doing this in order to win the bout. If there's still not a winner even after all that, the GM will take the reins and ensure that something happens narratively. Maybe a parent walks in, a teacher breaks it up, or heavy rain starts to fall. There's one more mechanic when it comes to trouble in this game, and it has to do with the pinnacle moment, the big showdown, or the great escape. That final scene that everything's been leading up to, or maybe something that requires a good deal of teamwork to accomplish. This is where extended trouble comes in. Extended trouble is handled in 5 steps. Set the stakes, threat level, making a plan, play the scenes out, and the outcome. By setting the stakes, your GM will inform the team what's at risk here. What happens when the team fails to overcome this big obstacle? Then, the GM will set the threat level. The threat level is the number of successes that the group needs to reach by the end of the event. The level of preparation of the kids or difficulty of the event will determine the number of successes the GM deems necessary here. Making a plan involves the team determining each kid's specific task that they're going to be attempting during the extended trouble, as well as which order they'd like to go in. Each kid will take on these tasks by making a skill roll to their related trouble. Once all the planning has been done, the group will then play out each kid's trouble as a scene. One by one, they'll make the rolls that they had chosen during the planning phase, adding up all their successes together. The final step in an extended trouble is to decide the outcome by comparing the number of successes to the threat level that the GM had set originally. If the players are unable to attain at least half of the threat level in successes, it'll be considered a total failure. But if the kids manage to roll at least half or more successes towards the threat level, the players have the option to start trading in conditions for more successes. Basically the same mechanic as before when two kids have a confrontation. And of course, if the kids manage to roll equal to or above the threat level, they succeed and accomplish what they set out to do without hassle. Honestly, one of the reasons I absolutely love Tales from the Loop is that it's a game that's split between two main stories each session. You have your basic everyday life where you're having to navigate what it means to be a kid with issues at home or school. And on the other side of things, attempting to discover and solve these weird mysteries happening in your town. One minute you could be making a move roll in an attempt to make it to class on time, and the next you're using that same move roll as you dodge the gnashing teeth of a T-Rex on the loose. Anything and everything can happen in Tales from the Loop, and hopefully by using this video and all our others on Tales, you'll be well prepared to take on the world with your skateboard and your closest friends. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me as we go over conflict resolution in Tales from the Loop. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be notified when our next video releases. Comment below with what game system you'd like to see us tackle next, and until then, I think it's time for an 80s movie marathon. Later.